Swamps make you think of a good few things. Shrek, swamp ass, liquid ass. Swamps are disgusting, and quite frankly, I don't want to go near a swamp. But today we're reacting to the scariest things found in swamps. How many entrances until we find Shrek and Donkey himself?
There is something scary hiding in this swamp.
Shrek.
Welcome back, Charlie here. Swamps can be rather yucky places, but as you'll soon see, they can also be very scary. From unexplained swamp discoveries to bizarre creatures found living inside swamps. First, we have to look at this swamp sinkhole. This video will be enough to make you never want to go near a swamp again. Many don't realize this, but you can easily lose your life in a swamp, especially if you get caught up in a swamp sinkhole. Take a look at this video from 2020. Two simultaneous swamp sinkholes opened up at once. This took place in Bomed County, Kenya. The swamp sinkhole swallowed up everything in sight. But what actually caused this? Well, it turned out limestone was below this swamp, and that limestone was rapidly eroding. As the limestone dissolved, the water kept getting deeper and deeper, creating a swirling sinkhole effect. If anyone was swimming in the swamp at the time, they would be sucked
Who would swim in a swamp?
And likely would have not made it out alive. But thankfully, in this case, no one was pulled underneath. Next, we have to look at this swamp monster. In 2021, some friends are rowing a small boat. They're making their way through a swamp at night. The water seems still and peaceful, but that's when one of the people on the boat puts their hand into the murky water.
Oh, bro.
He quickly pulls it back out and says something grabbed him. The men are freaked out, but assume it's some sort of fish.
I think he's joking,
something glowing in the water. It looks like a creature with lights on it.
Or it's
then
a
after
bottle
a
of
few
Coca-Cola.
moments, this happens. It seems like some kind of blue hand emerges from the water. I've slowed down and enhanced this video so we can take a better look. The hand seems to have 5 fingers, but they're all the same length.
This is something from Azric.
Some speculate this could be a cenophore of some
kind. That's a Glamora from
That's
Pokemon.
Because cenophores have glowing lights. And right before this man, the men saw lights in the water. Others say this may be some kind of eel, but this video is over a year old and we still don't know what this is. Online, many said this was a real-life swamp monster, but what do you think this could be? Moving on, we have to look at these creepy dolls.
I thought they were children, they were danced then.
A police chief was driving next to a swamp. That's when he saw a sight that made his
jaw drop. Is this the
island
of the dolls?
Looked like porcelain dolls in the swamp. This was in Bear Creek Swamp in Alabama. The cop, Joe Sedinger, was creeped out but decided to drive on. But a few days later, he began receiving phone calls from creeped out locals. People kept reporting seeing scary figures in the swamp. So Joe and his other cops went to investigate. In the swamp, they found 21 very creepy porcelain dolls. These had been stuck onto bamboo stakes, and many of them had their faces removed. The police chief decided to post about this on social media. He asked if anyone had any information about these dolls.
No one's gonna up to it, bro.
Ever came forward.
Eventually,
the case was closed, but it remains one of Alabama's creepiest unexplained mysteries. Moving on, we have to look at this plane.
Is that one of Pablo Escobar's
this plane
planes?
has a name. It's named Swamp Ghost. In 1942, the USA got involved in World War II. It began using heavy bomber planes. During this, one of their USB-17E bombers was shot with bullets, causing the plane to crash land into a swamp in Papua New Guinea. Miraculously, all 9 crew on board survived, but had to spend 6 weeks living in the swamp.
This is real life footage of them escaping.
They had to battle lack of food and water, as well as heat
exhaustion and
the
hard life.
But after these 6 weeks, the 9 soldiers finally made it to safety. But their plane was lost for decades in the swamp. But 30 years later, Australian soldiers were flying overhead. They were flying over Papua New Guinea in a helicopter. That's when they saw something submerged in a swamp. When they landed to check it out, they realized it was a plane.
This is real life imagery from the 1970s, all these high-def cameras.
The US Army then decided to retrieve the plane. It was very difficult because at this point the swamp had been infested with crocodiles. But amazingly, they got this old plane back to the USA, and it's now on display at a museum in Hawaii.
I understand the symbology of a plane like that being connected to a wall, it got shot out of the sky, but how is it scary? I think the scariest thing about that is the fact that there were crocodiles in the swamp.
Next, I have to show you this
Ooh,
giant
big
snake. In
Big
2020,
boy.
two men made a
Bro,
record-breaking
how do
discovery
people
in
do
a
that, man?
Florida
Just grab them like
swamp.
that. That's
They
fucking
found
nuts.
an 18-foot Burmese python,
I
the
love
largest
pythons.
python ever found in the USA.
Jeez,
In
the
total, the
size of
snake was
that, bro.
18 feet and
He was
9
like,
inches.
"Leave me alone."
But how did a Burmese python even end up in Florida? You see, people used to keep these as pets. But over the years, they
I've got
escaped or
3
were released on
pythons in my
purpose. And over the last
story.
15 years, the Burmese snake population has skyrocketed in Florida.
That's so
They're now
pretty.
wild animals in
Look
the
at him.
state. And snake catchers like these two guys make lots of money from catching them. They can make up to $150 per snake capture. That is, if you
poor
have the
little
guts to
things.
do it. They document their snake captures on their channel, Snakeaholic. The massive python weighed 63.5 kilos.
Wow, bro,
meaning
I'm
these
only
two
70
men
kilos.
couldn't even hold it up.
Wow.
Burmese pythons are a deadly species.
Oh,
so
yeah, very.
these men were literally risking their lives. But I guess $150 is $150.
I guess
Moving
so.
on, we have to look at these swamp creatures.
It's
In
me,
2012,
after a long day
some
of work.
people were walking near a swamp in Seney, France. That's when they saw these very creepy figures in the swamp. The creatures were thin and appeared to be frozen in time. It almost looked like they'd been covered in mud and
This wasn't like a piece of
but
artwork
what
that someone
were
put
these
down or something?
creatures? And
Foul
what were
Mo
they
from
doing in
Skyrim.
a French swamp? Well, it turned out these were sculptures.
Yeah.
They were apparently created to reflect man's complicated relationship with nature. The figures were
Alright.
made with iron, mud, and algae. They were then left to dry, making the mud look like skin. These creatures really are terrifying.
I can understand
Even
why
if
you'd be
they're
scared.
not
You just
living
come across that
things,
shit in the
just
water,
imagine
like-
seeing one of these at night.
Yeah,
Moving
man.
on, we
Very
have to look
freaky.
at this mysterious cemetery. In 1982, road workers stumbled
relate to a
across
swamp,
something
though.
scary in Utah, USA. While digging in a swamp, they found many skulls.
Many
At first,
skulls.
they thought it was a murder site, but experts found the skulls were not recent.
Right.
After looking more, they discovered the remains of 168 people. Thanks
Wow.
to the swamp, the
That's a
skulls had
lot.
been well preserved,
Oh,
allowing
right.
experts to find out the skulls were from the Archaic period.
Which is
That's
between
around
when and when?
500 BC.
Oh, wow.
Moving on, we have to look at
That's
a
very
tank.
impressive. What the
tank
hell?
was found in Estonia in the year 2000. And amazingly, the tank still worked. 116 shells were even found inside.
Oh my
but
God.
there was one mystery
That's
about
mental.
this tank. It was a T-34 Soviet tank. But for some reason, it had German markings.
Hmm.
It turned out the German army had stolen this from the Soviet army, and then used
a
it as
hybrid.
one of their own tanks for many years. That was before
fair
they got
enough.
it stuck in a swamp. It's believed this was
Dickheads.
actually done on purpose. The Soviets were advancing into Estonia, so to make sure they couldn't take the tank back, the Germans drove it into a swamp on purpose. Basically saying, if I can't have it, no one can. Finally, we have to look
Moody
at this
fucking
swamp
Germans.
shipwreck. In
Oh,
Istanbul,
that's I love a
Turkey, some
shipwreck.
archaeologists were exploring a
Have a look.
swamp. That's when they found 37 shipwrecks. These were from the Byzantine Empire. These ships were thousands of years old, but were in relatively good condition. This definitely is a fascinating peek back into history. But now it's time
definitely
for
is.
you to make
I was
your
expecting a little bit more from that last end. You didn't really gather much information from that apart from they found a shipwreck. There we are, the scariest things found in swamps. A short reaction, a short video, but I learned a few things. I quite liked the boat. I quite liked those human remains from the Archaic era. Some good finds from the swamps. That tank's probably the coolest. Imagine finding a fucking working tank in a swamp. What was the scariest thing for you? Let me know in the comment section down below. And as always, leave a like, subscribe if you're new. Start a movement today and make a dream come true. That said, I have been BDFO18. Thank you all so much for watching. And I'll see you in the next one. Take care.